Welcome to a very special panel brought to you by Worldline Rise 2022 in association with ET Hospitality World. We are speaking with some of the doyens of the mid-scale, the bulk of the hotel industry, and we are looking at what 2022-23 holds for the industry. On my panel today, we have Vikramjit Singh, who's president of Lemon Tree Hotels. We have Samir MC, who's the managing director of Fortune Hotels. We have Nikhil Sharma, who's the regional director Eurasia for Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. And finally, we have Sheikh Moinuddin, who is the senior VP Digital Commerce for Worldline. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. I know it's a very interesting time. We are again on the cusp of we don't know what. So let's start by speaking to the hoteliers. So let's start by speaking to Samir. Samir, what is it that you're looking at? You have a company which has been exploring leisure also, which did really well over the last 2 years. What is it that you're seeing now?
So good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me and of course some of our industry colleagues onto this panel. So great to be here. As you said, exactly, we have come through a fairly, I would say, not just challenging time, but a time for many of us to go through new learnings and new experiences. Of course, when we look back, there is definitely a lot of sense of pride on how many of us have handled it. And, you know, as an industry, we have definitely sort of gone through quite a lot. But the resilience can be seen, and the way we have dealt with it is definitely commendable. Having said that, 2022 seems to be starting off on a fairly good note when we look at this financial year. Yes, there is always this question of what happens if there is another wave. But having said that, the interesting part and the opportunities for us lies in the fact that business travel seems to be coming back faster than many of us anticipated a year ago. International travel seems to be rebounding very quickly. International flights have restarted a couple of weeks ago, and we can already see numbers across most large airports coming back very well. And exactly like you mentioned, leisure hotels seem to continue to do well. And I guess that's something which will keep giving us a lot of comfort in the near term for sure.
Vikramjit, the question is now for you with your company. What is it that the strategy that you developed over the last 2 years, which you're putting into place now? And what is the current year looking like for you guys?
Okay, I think Samir has given a very nice description of where things were, where they are today, and what they're looking like. I think multiple forums, everyone's spoken about how hotels have cut costs, what they've done, how they've become leaner, how they've become more cost efficient. But I want to add one thing here. It's not about what we've done in the past. It's about whether you will remember the learnings of the COVID and carry it forward or forget them. Will you let success come in again and the so-called curse of success make you forget all that you learned? Will you continue to operate on the new staffing ratios, the new HLP ratios, the new way of doing things, the way we run operations today? So I think the key learning that one should do, and the key takeaway for me is that we should not forget what we've learned, not go back to the old way of working, not let the curse of success come in, because that is the real winner. And that's my 2 bits on what COVID has taught us, and we should continue with this. We should not forget what we've learned, how cost efficient we've been, how we run our operations today. That's my 2 bits on the learnings of COVID. Yeah.
Okay. Nikhil, give me your point of view. You have a totally different model, and this is one that you're exceptionally proud of. You are the franchisee model, and you're the only one here who is entirely franchised. So tell me a little bit about how business has been for you guys, and what is it looking like for the year ahead?
So Vikram, firstly, thanks to the sponsors and ET Hospitality for having us. A little bit about Wyndham, because lesser known fact. So Wyndham Hotels, like you said, is the largest franchise in the world. 9,000 hotels, 95 countries, 22 brands. In India, we have 6 brands. We've just hit the 50 hotel mark. Ramada, of course, is our hero brand. And just on the franchising model, there was a conference which most of us were in Mumbai. And it was interesting to see the owner sentiment. And the owner sentiment is clearly bending towards franchise. Most global players are majorly franchise, while they may not say it as openly. And of course, Samir has seen that in his past avatar in Southeast Asia, and that's really the model, right? Last 2 years, how were they? Similar to everyone, but I think one of the strengths that we were able to portray in the market was our F&B and the whole social events coming back to hotels. So 50% of most of our hotel revenues in Ramada, which is the mid-scale to upscale, the Ramada Plaza, and now the Wyndhams, has been F&B. And I think that's something that we haven't spoken of enough. Of course, organizations have made it ancillary and started delivering, but a lot of the backbone of how hotels survived was actually the whole F&B piece, the small weddings, the small social functions that kept happening in hotels through and through, and became fillers for the rooms. So that's how the last 2 years were. And I can only say the sun is shining on all of us at the moment. If we were to look at December, I think December was the best month, best year ever for a lot of our hotels. And a lot of industry colleagues actually echo the fact that December was the best. So if December was the best, and we're looking at good months already, I think occupancies and ADRs are here to stay.
Okay, now let me turn the focus of the questioning a little towards the middle of the market where you guys thrive in. Now, even before the pandemic, this is an exceptionally competitive set of the market, but all of us were at events, and owners now want to do luxury. Apparently, that is according to a few studies. Going ahead, what are you seeing in the market, and what is it that has happened, you feel, over the last 2 years in the way that it's changed the way that the mid-market segment is functioning now compared to 2019? Samir, starting with you.
So I guess for decades, the mid-market has had its own space, which probably has been the strongest. And when I look towards the next few decades, for a country like India, it will continue to be the strongest segment in terms of growth and in terms of positioning. And the reason I say so is because India is growing at a very fast pace on domestic travel. And this is a segment which appeals or does very well with the domestic segment. So given that we are growing very well as a country, domestic travel is growing. Tier 3, Tier 4 cities are seeing a much faster pace of growth than what you have seen in Tier 1 cities. Tier 1 cities seem to have stagnated in terms of development of new hotels, especially because of real estate costs being prohibitive. So absolutely confident of the potential the mid-scale to upscale market has, and hence the positioning we at Fortune have. So extremely confident of this positioning. If I look back at what we have gone through as a company over the last 2.5 decades since we started operations in this space, we have grown very well. We have positioned ourselves very well. Customers and owners know us for our strengths across operations, food and beverage, and sales and marketing, and the ability to deliver great returns. So I guess this segment is definitely a very positive segment. Yes, there will always be investors willing to invest into luxury, and rightly so, they should, because there is a different space for the luxury segment and a different set of customer. But having said that, this is definitely going to be where the growth is.
Let me ask the same question to you, Vikramjit. What are you seeing in the segment? And more importantly, I'd like to know, what are you seeing among your customers, the mid-market customers? How have they changed? Because during the bloodbath 2 years ago, there were a lot of international players, a lot of other players who reduced their rates, and some of your customers would have gone there, especially in the higher part of the spectrum. So what is it that you're seeing, and how have you been able to get these customers back or to attract new customers for this coming period?
Okay, so let me just interject here on the luxury piece. I was just looking at the 2021 report of HVS Anarog, and out of the 15,500 rooms that got signed, 55% was mid-scale and another 25% was upscale. So clearly luxury is not really the, and luxury is a dropping trend. I think the last few years saw a lot of luxury hotels being signed, but I'm looking at the latest 21 numbers, and I think the focus is back on mid-scale. 55% of all hotel rooms signed in the country in 2021, out of the 15,500 rooms that were signed, were mid-scale rooms. So I think luxury is the new flavor, and I'll tell you why. Because mid-scale is the new flavor, and I'll tell you my view on that one. I think people have realized that mid-scale hotels are probably the more profitable part of the business, especially when you are down and out, because the cost structures are very flexible in a mid-scale operation vis-a-vis a luxury operation. I think you're able to scale down or scale up much faster vis-a-vis the deluxe or the luxury hotels. So that's one reason why I think mid-scale and upscale have become the new flavor.
So tell me a little bit, Vikram, what you're seeing in the market as far as customers are concerned going ahead, because there was a lot of price cutting at over the last 2 years, and customers moved from mid-scale to upscale and upper upscale as well. So going ahead, what is it that you're seeing?
No, definitely. There was a share shift. There was the mid-scale guy. Our customers had moved to the deluxe and the luxury segment. The guys at the bottom end, the economy guys, had moved to the mid-market hotels. But I think, like I said, better sense has prevailed. Now rates have hardened up. Today, rates are trending at higher than the same period of 2019, which is a very positive sign. Occupancies are also catching up. Delhi, Bombay, today you don't get rooms even for the love of money. And I'm sure you've tried searching for rooms in these micro markets. Even places like Bangalore, Hyderabad, which were probably the last to recover because they were very IT dependent, have seen a good recovery starting April this year. And this trend is only going to continue. See, in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of pent up demand for leisure. What we've not seen is pent up corporate demand. And I have a sense that starting this month, you will see corporate travel come back like never before. The good part is that there has been a significant shift from the unbranded to the branded for the obvious reasons. Things which were a table stake today become an important thing. And I think this will make the unbranded customer shift to a branded hotel company, a branded hotel chain, because for him, suddenly hygiene, cleanliness, a lot of these things which he never thought about have become very important. So a share shift from the unbranded to the branded, the pent up corporate demand, which we've already started seeing signs of, and the hardening of rates. I think you will probably see the next 4 or 5 years as the best time for the hotel industry. See, another thing I want to mention here is that supply is at an all-time low. If you look at the latest reports, whether it was the Hotelivate report that they spoke about or the HVS Anurag report, the latest one, supply is going to shrink to 3 to 4%. Demand will go back to 10, 11%. That tells you the story, a big demand supply gap. And I think the next 3 to 4 years will be the best for the industry. We will experience what's called top of cycle conditions. That's my view looking forward.
Okay. Nikhil, tell me a little bit about what you're seeing among the customers coming back. What is it, the perception? Those who are coming in, have their perceptions changed, at least the business guys who hadn't been coming to hotels over the last 2 years?
So Vikram, I think, and I would differentiate 21 and 22 from a customer and a rate perspective. While I agree in 20, there was a rate dip, but 21, we didn't see that rate dip in most leisure locations domestically. And hotels, case in point, Ramada Masuri or Ramada Udaipur, which would retail in 2019 at anywhere between 7.5 ADR. You'd be lucky to get a room at 15 to 18,000 on an average, right? So obviously, we've seen the shift in ADRs, we've seen the shift in occupancies in most leisure markets, if not in all leisure markets. The drive to locations have seen a considerable jump. Rajasthan, from Delhi, Goa, and other parts of Maharashtra that saw that, right? So I would not fixate the customer. I would say the base of the customer only increased. Would there be an ADR correction in leisure locations going forward? It's a possibility, and I'll tell you my view on that. We have 90 plus hotels in Turkey, right? We are seeing a lot of Indians travel to Turkey. We are seeing a lot of Indians in the last 3 to 4 months, just UAE or Dubai for the last 6 months. It's been a bloodbath to get a room in Dubai, and Indians have traveled in hordes. So you're seeing more and more Indians travel. The middle class, which is 380 million, 400 million, I mean, the numbers just keep expanding, want to experience travel. And they have really pushed the segment of mid-scale and upscale. If we were to look at segments, of course, they've even moved to the luxury segment as and when the price is comfortable. That said, I think, like I said, the sun is shining, the customers are there to stay, and it's going to be a jostle for the corporate to get rooms at the same ADRs that they were getting. And Vikramjit actually said that, right? If you look at Mumbai, you look at Bangalore, today, the ADRs and the rooms aren't actually available. Aero City, for example.
Okay. Now, before we start talking about a topic which Sheikh has been sitting there very, very patiently, but before we turn to him, and we will obviously talk about technology, which was like a huge thing that happened to everyone. You guys could finally convince owners that it's important to be more technologically acute. Before we do that, I wanted to ask you one question, and this is in line with what Nikhil said. Of course, you have also talked, all of us have talked about it, which is the fact that maybe in 2019, the mid-scale was perceived to be, and maybe at that time, it may have been correct to be entirely business and work centric. But you guys have discovered a really thick, fantastic load of leisure travelers who now come into your hotels, not only in leisure destinations, but also in cities. Do you think that is a plus point for you guys? And how do you think the market going forward, when you start developing hotels, more hotels, how do you think that is going to reflect this trend that of even mid-scale doing largely leisure business during at some points of time? Samir, starting with you. Now, of course, we have to add that Fortune already has several leisure properties, and so does all of you have several, but it was mostly a business-centric kind of model. What is happening now because of this trend?
So Vikramjit, if I just sort of look at what's happened in the last couple of years, yes, you're right. There's definitely a lot more push towards leisure. And if we look at guest behavior or consumer behavior, definitely there is more interest in travel. I guess people have started looking at work-life balance. People have started looking at health and wellness. People have started looking at gaining experiences and not missing out on those opportunities to spend time with family. All those together have combined with the fact that over the last few years, as a country, we have also drastically improved in connectivity and infrastructure. So given that all those have happened over the last few years, the pandemic has probably just been that catalyst to get people travel more, especially within the country. The fact that we couldn't travel outside the country over the last couple of years for most of the time also meant people had to look at destinations within the country, which previously they were probably ignored. So all those together have really helped leisure locations see more interest, have helped leisure locations gain more traction. What has happened for companies like us, I can say for Fortune, which started predominantly as a business hotel brand, over the last few years, we have evolved. We have started seeing a lot more traction in leisure locations, so much so that if I include our pipeline of soon to open hotels, we are almost on the 50-50 or the 55-45 mix in terms of business to leisure hotels. So definitely that's going to continue, given that consumers have started realizing that there is a lot of joy from a family perspective in taking those quarterly breaks, taking those long weekends, plus the fact that more companies are now flexible in allowing people to work from outside office, even when things have come back to normal over the last few months. And I guess all that has sort of great potential for us as hoteliers.
So Vikram, I wanted to ask you, Lemon Tree, as far as the mid-scale is concerned, now obviously you are both asset owners as well as asset managers, and like all hotel companies, everyone wants to go towards an asset light model, and you're looking at what's happening in the market. Now, for a lot of the city hotels, it used to be entirely business. And over the last 2 years, I think there's been a rediscovery to say that, listen, we can also do leisure. How is that perception, how is that new market affecting new signings and the way that business is done going ahead in the mid-scale for Lemon Tree?
Okay, so let me answer your question in two parts, because it was actually two questions in one. So asset heavy and asset light. I think initially we had to be asset heavy to build a brand. See, we are not Wyndham. We don't have the ITC umbrella. No one knew Lemon Tree. For us to create a brand, we had to put in some products which looked similar, which were homogeneous, and therefore people got to know the brand. So therefore, the first 7-8 years of our existence, all our hotels were owned by us primarily. Once the brand got known, once people knew what we were all about, and I think the listing only helped the cause. Today, going forward, our strategy is very clear. We will be 100% asset light, barring the current hotel that we are building, which is a 669-room hotel just outside the Mumbai International Airport, which will probably be one of the largest hotels in India. We don't plan to really invest any more capital, and the entire growth is asset light. All the new signings that you've heard that are all in the media are all asset light. They're all owned by third-party owners, and we are branding stock, managing them. So that's the new segment that we've got into. Talking of business hotels and what is the new segment that's come in, I think we saw early trends come in even before COVID, which was a staycation business, which primarily in business hotels was driven by a lower price and was driven on the valley period, which was the weekends, because, from a Sunday to Thursday, you typically never got rooms in a business hotel, and the valley was primarily Friday and Saturday, and in some cities, maybe even a Sunday. To fill those 3 days of the week when business was typically low, we had started something called a Godzilla, which was, a special offer valid only on weekends where you would take holidays in the city where you live in. With COVID, I think this became a phenomena which was week long because there was no other business. Corporate business had completely dried up. Leisure, of course, never happened in city hotels. So between vacation and staycation, I think we got a fair amount of business at our city hotels. Going forward, my view on this segment is that this is a price sensitive segment. And as prices are hardening, as ARRs are going up, as rates are becoming stronger and stronger, I feel this segment will probably reduce. I don't think it will disappear. It's a new habit that people have come into. It will continue more on weekends in city hotels, maybe less on the weekdays because rates on the weekdays have become strong, occupancies have become very high. So that's my view on this segment going forward. It's a new phenomena. People have learned to take holidays. They've got this habit. It will stay. It may not stay over in the same volumes as it was during COVID. So definitely some reduction in the numbers, but here to stay.
So Nikhil, obviously you guys have hotels both in leisure and in business destination, but mid-scale was always perceived to be more of a business-centric model. Going ahead, how do you see this amount of leisure splurge which happened in all segments, including mid-scale? How is it affecting the signings you guys are doing? How is it affecting the business even in your more business-centric city hotels going forward this year, coming year?
Interestingly, as per the HVS JLL reports, from an international brand perspective, we had the highest number of signings in the last 2 years. And in the year 2021, 2020, we had the highest number of openings as well. So yes, there was the pandemic, but a lot of business was happening and continues to grow. I think there is market for both, and it's not either or. And if you look at us with 22 brands globally, we start with the economy of right from days and Super 8 globally, and we have days here, and we go up to a Wyndham Grand, which is Uber Lux, right? We also have 2 soft brands that we'll look at launching soon in the market. One, Trademark, which is more in the 4-star segment, and Registry Collection, which is again Uber Lux. So something like what ITC is doing, but with a different piece, right? Obviously, a lot of this has been aided by technology in the last 2 years, and you alluded to that in the past conversation. What Wyndham Hotels and Resorts did is not only focused on the B2C, but also focused on the B2B piece. With the owner first mentality that we had, we actually spent 2 years revamping the whole back-end system, making it more accessible for the owners, for the hotel teams, and making sure all tools, whether it's an STR report, whether it's an OTA Insight, whether it's a Medallia report, is more accessible on one platform and making it more accessible to them. Of course, like every other brand, we had a better revamped app, which if the pandemic wouldn't have happened, would have taken longer. The pandemic helped us to make a better app and go contactless. My personal view on contactless is while it's going to be there and it's going to make everything more efficient for all of us, at the end of the day, the customer that you're speaking of will still want that human connect. right? And that's where each one of us and our teams come in. But obviously, technology and hotels have not been early adopters. They've always been late adopters. And that is where Sheikh and the conversation we're going to have going forward will make a lot of sense. I think the industry is ready, has adopted technology, and is ready to move in that direction as an enabler and not as like business or leisure. It's not business or leisure. It is going to be both. And that's, I'm actually mixing two of your questions and answering that.
Thank you, Nikhil, for bringing up technology. This is where Sheikh comes in, and he is also our sponsor. So Sheikh, let's begin by asking you, what are the trends that you're seeing as far as payments and online payments go in hospitality in India compared to the rest of the world?
Sure, Vikram. Before that, pleasure to be here again. And it was great listening to Vikram, Samir, and Nikhil on their perspective about the hospitality business. And I've been patiently waiting for the payments question, because that's the normal process in any purchase. Payments is the last step, and believe me, without completing a sale gets completed only when you get the payment. So it's okay being at the last step. So that's on payments. Coming back to your question on key trends. India as a country in digital payments, we are clearly 3 to 5 years ahead in terms of technology and innovation compared to rest of the world, right? So there are various things that is happening thanks to UPI and NPCI in terms of trends. There are multiple trends that are there in the payment industry, but specifically to hospitality, personally, what I feel is there are two things that I want to mention. Right. One is multiple payment methods, right? Accepting multiple payment methods, right, is very, very important for hospitality industry, because other than these traditional, payment options like credit card, debit card, net banking, we should also be able to provide all other payment options. In fact, there are more than 100 payment options available in India. To give you an example, like EMI is the new one, and in EMI itself you have different types of EMI, right? So no cost EMI, cardless EMI, now buy now pay later, which has emerged as a lucrative proposition amongst millennials. And there are other old ones like AEPS, Aadhaar enabled payment systems, BBPS, and so on, right? And then there is also the subscription payments, which is gaining traction with consumers, where hoteliers can use it for creating a loyalty program around it. Like Vikram talked about the Godzilla campaign, which they did. So like that, they can also utilize subscription payments for that. And then omni-channel, right? Omni-channel is to provide a complete 360-degree payment options on online and offline, right? And now international opening up, the cross-border payments are becoming very, very important in the payment model, because we as a company provide 170 plus local payment options from 170 plus countries across the globe. So this gives a seamless experience for your international customers as well, right? So that's what I say. So from a key trend perspective, one is this: accepting multiple payment methods is very, very important. And the other one which I can think of is integrating payments with the existing systems like PMS, your booking engine, channel manager, right? This allows hoteliers to eliminate the extra steps of using standalone banks, merchants, different payment gateways, and other software and hardware to process transaction. And instead, you can have a single payment portal exist within the PMS, connecting all the pieces in your system, right? And this kind of deep integration with your systems improves your booking experience, and it provides a secure and compliant processing option and allows for easier payment reconciliation at the end of the day. So I think this is also very important. And staying on top of customer-centric technologies and offering payment solutions that best suit your guests' needs will help you to provide seamless experience when it comes to customers. These are the two things I think are the key ones for hospitality industry.
So now let's talk to the hospitality guys to find out what they want or need or perceive when it comes to omni-channel payment and what Sheikh was talking about. So Samir, Do you want to talk from the point of view of Fortune? What is it that you're looking for when you look at a technology like the one that he's offering?
Sure. So I guess talking about technology, payment is definitely one very important piece because you want to bank the revenues. But having said that, I guess first I'll just quickly touch upon what we have gone through over the last year plus. So as a company, Fortune, we have been operating our own website for the last 25 years and of course our own estate, which is ITC hotels and a few welcome hotels were on a separate platform. So what we have done over the last year and a half is we have got everybody onto one platform. So we've got a CRS which combines the strengths of all our brands. So we've got everybody onto one platform. We have actually launched an ITC Hotels app, which now has all our brands and all our hotels. In fact, the app has been seeing some very high number of downloads over the last 3 months. It currently has a rating of around 4.9, 4.8 on iOS and Android. So pretty good response, very, very consumer friendly app. Of course, payment is part of that and hence payment gateways is something which we have worked on. I think what Sheikh is trying to say is that there is a lot more opportunity in looking at accepting multiple modes of payment. And definitely, I guess, as we go through absorbing and adapting to more technology, those are areas which we would probably explore as well.
Vikram?
Okay, I think, some Sheikh spoke about some very interesting things. I think, what hoteliers need is options, is the variation. Like, for example, for us to launch a book now, pay later, for us to launch pay for your holidays and EMIs. So I think that's the kind of intervention that hoteliers today are looking at to bring about some variation into the regular payment method. There are modes of payment, but how do we make it more interesting? You can buy everything on EMI today. So why can't you buy a holiday on EMI? Why can't you pay 10% and block your holiday and pay later, maybe 10 days within the cancellation period, which could be 6 months away, depending on when you want to travel. So I think he's spoken about some very interesting options, which I think is relevant for the hotel industry. They need to bring about more optionality for their customers. And that's my 2 bits on the payment piece here.
Nikhil, of course, your hotel chain operates all over the globe. So has a different perspective on this.
So Vikram, firstly, everything Sheikh said, we have adopted globally and we believe in omni-channel of payments. That said, I think it's important to understand and differentiate where India is. India is light years ahead compared to other countries. And when I say light years, we are the world's largest digital payment country. And case in point, US and China, which were 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and Sheikh could have better data, but whatever our research shows for far larger. Today, we are multiple times larger than them on the digital payment, right? So Nepal is currently adopting our UPI in their form. So you're seeing adoption happening in Nepal. Sri Lanka is looking at something similar. Of course, it's unfortunate what's happening there at the moment, but I think our immediate region, if you look at, is going to get there. And I want to speak about crypto because globally, crypto today is accepted as an omni-channel of payment in US. A lot of brands, including our brands, some of our hotels accept crypto in the form of Wyndham Rewards, our loyalty program, and so on and so forth. So you are seeing adoption now. Where crypto goes globally with the law is a separate issue, right? If central governments will allow it to be used as a currency or not. But it is organizations like Sheikh's that are going to enable it, make it easier, and of course, more affordable, because at the end of the day, every hotelier is looking at how can he save that little bit more commission and bank it for himself rather than paying another bank. So that is where Sheikh's organization will be of greater benefit to all of us.
So tell us a little bit about this crypto thing, because I am absolutely ignoramus when it comes to this. Samir, what about crypto and your hotel? Have you guys thought about it? Because now I think the government of India has a taxation policy for crypto anyhow, crypto earnings. So
I would say at this stage, it's too premature because India is still not open to crypto as you would see other payment modes, for example, UPI. So probably we'll just have to wait.
I just want to button here, Bikram. In India, it's an asset class. It's not a currency. Whereas in the West, it's a currency. So that's the differentiation between crypto. And that's why the 33 plus 1%. So people who have large ESOPs like Vikram and Samir can trade in crypto. But for the lesser mortal like you and me,
we have ESOPs, fables, they have ESOPs.
Sorry, guys. I mean,
we could not.
It's just too serious, yeah.
Exactly.
Tell us a bit about crypto. When are you going to see crypto coming in? Are you seeing any kind of movement like that in our country with your, I mean, from what you see in technology?
Yeah, so we are in a very early stage for us to comment on that, Bikram. Like Nikhil mentioned, crypto is still not legalized as a digital currency in India, right? They've been considered as an asset, and that's why we are charging tax. But other parts of the world, especially Dubai, Singapore, are very ahead in terms of crypto, and they consider that as one more payment option, right? Like how you are paying through UPI or net banking. So you will also see crypto as a payment option in the checkout page, and you can collect cryptos from your customers. So that's where we are. But in India, we are very, very early stage to talk about that right now.
So Sabir, tell me a little bit. I mean, before we go ahead, 100% of your payments are done now virtually online or through like a credit card thing, or do you still get customers paying cash?
We have all modes available for customers, and they continue getting used.
But how much of it is cash? I mean, do you have a kind of percentage, that, this many people, or is that?
I wouldn't have that number, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it'll be a very small number, that I can tell you, because the laws are so strict. You've got to, the minute your billing goes about 25,000, you pay your PAN card. So it'll be a very small number here.
So most people who go to Vikram's hotel pay more than 25,000. That's what he's saying.
No, basically, I think you asked the question, which means you're sitting on piles of cash.
Okay, so cash. So basically,
where is it under your sofa? Where have you hidden the cash?
Vikram, that safe that you have right behind yourself.
That's
it's called the fridge. By the way, the safe.
Don't go off. They have to cut all this. Okay. So Nikhil, what about for Wyndham? Is India mostly online? Because I know a market like Japan, it's still very cash dominated.
So India has gone online on payments, Vikram, and for our hotels, all modes are open. As Vikram said, anything above 25,000 needs a PAN card. So the cash component is obviously much lower. And just to qualify that, you would have seen a cash component earlier in the banquet space, and that over a period of time has only come down because of the laws that we have today governing, and of course all our hotels go by the rule of law.
Absolutely. So Samir, let me ask you this question, which is technologically centric. Mid-scale customers, were they faster to adapt to new technology, and has that enabled your hotels to get in technology faster over the last 2 years? Because I mean, I know luxury was the most reticent, and now have also started really, there's a big buzz. And I was talking to somebody recently, and he said, technology is finally stopped being an expense and has become like an investment. So what is it that you're seeing in your space with Fortune, with the owners, and of course with the customers when it comes to technology?
So I guess with any other, like with any other industry, technology is something which people do take time to adapt. We have probably reached that stage now, and thanks to one of the good parts of what we have gone through over the last 2 years is that technology has been accepted a lot faster than what we probably saw 2 years back. So that's the good part. Of course, typically what you used to see in the past was that technology meant a high capital investment, and hence there was always a little bit of discouraging factor for hotels, especially in the mid-scale. What has happened over the last couple of years or so is that there is definitely a lot more options available, whether it's from a capital expense perspective or an operating expense perspective. There's a pay and use model available in most options. So definitely there is better sort of embracing of technology. People are getting more technology into hotels. I would say that for mid-scale, definitely it's going to grow faster. I mean, I can just look at the way our website and our app has started seeing a lot more traction than what we used to see before. Book Direct has become a big thing for us. We are seeing much higher conversions on our direct channels, and that's definitely signs of what I would say is people adapting to technology faster than what we thought they would.
What about in Lemon Tree, Vikram?
So I think technology is the buzzword, but it's a very widely used term. If I were to narrow it down to what exactly and where technology can be used in hotels and where does that whole digitization piece come in? See, there are a couple of towers. So I would say the first tower would be revenue management and book direct. I think moving the customer from your OTS to your direct site. So that's, I think, where one big intervention in technology will happen. Revenue management will be one big play, or whether it is customizing third-party options or whether it is building your own rev management tools. The second, if you ask me, would be guest experience. A lot of it is already getting automated. People are working on it. All hotel companies are working on it. So that will see a big change. Another tower would be operations stroke cost, because I think you need to digitize that to minutely and monitor with a microscopic lens. It's very important, and I think that technology will play a very big role to ensure that the cost levers that you put in work properly, work correctly. You're not going out. You get the right alerts at the right time. So that's another intervention where I think technology will come in. So there are these multiple towers where technology will be used in hotels going forward. I think it's work in progress for everybody. And you will see a very different way of working with a lot of technology going forward in hotels. Whether it happen, it'll happen over the next few months, maybe a year or so, but definitely that's the way forward.
And what about for customers who come into Lemon Tree, their perception of technology? Do you think as Indians, we take better to technology faster, or are we just more attuned? At least with our phones, everybody has that. But as far as the technology in the hotel is, and I know Lemon Tree has fantastic technology, even when it comes to security and things like that. When you guys set up, when you guys did set up, it was leading in the field, and I'm sure you guys have moved forward in that as well.
So I think technology has to do more with age group than anything else. I've got two 19-year-old boys, and let me tell you, for them, technology is the way of communication. They talk, they breathe technology. They don't like picking up the phone and speaking to people. So for example, a call center. Going forward, a few years from now, when the new generation becomes active user of hotels, they may not need a call center. The call center may not even exist because everything will be through a chat, through a bot, through other forms of communication. So I think it's about age group and adoption. The younger generation is definitely more attuned to using technology. We guys are lesser adapters. Users of luxury hotels would be much lesser adapters because they don't even book their hotel themselves. They typically have a secretary booking their hotel or something. So it's about the age group that you cater to more than anything else.
Nikhil, technology, what are you seeing in your hotel? I mean, you are a franchisee chain. I'm assuming your dependence on technology is even more because you have less feet on the ground compared to Vikram and Samir.
So Vikram, thanks. Just on technology, I would like to marry the talent piece. And I think that's important for all of us to answer going forward. Shelly has written a brilliant piece, where has the talent gone? And I think technology is that enabler for hospitality companies. And I will come back to our owner first mentality. Like I said, in the last 2 years, we have revamped our backend technology. And when you are of a scale of 9,000 hotels, the technology and the CRS and everything else is large scale, right? So to revamp does take time, and to reorient the team and the hotel owners and the teams on the ground does take a lot of time. But I must say that we've done a phenomenal job on that. And technology, of course, from that piece. Now, your second question was for the customers, and I will come back to that I see technology replacing the base talent pool. Vikram spoke of a bot, and you will see more and more technology in that piece. You will see more and more paying options at the time of your booking, save 10% discount, and that's technology at play, right? So if you pay today for a booking, which is 10 days from now, you could potentially say 20%, 30%, whatever, and that's technology at play. So those parameters, and you're already seeing signs of them, right? Those parameters are already coming in. And the other piece that will tie into technology is the whole sustainability piece, because Vikram's 19-year-olds are far more millennial mindset, sustainable, and are the future, right? So if you want the future guests coming in, you need to be more sustainable. Of course, Sameer's parent company is the most sustainable company in the world. We at Wyndham have our own Wyndham Green program, which is making sure that our hotels come on and become more sustainable. But we are seeing globally sustainability and technology marrying themselves, because a lot of commercial pieces are now coming together on sustainable and technology. So that's, technology is going to be the bed of everything, whether it is a check-in, whether it's a checkout, whether it is the whole sustainability piece, whether it's information to the owners or to the guests. So it's here to stay, it's embedded with us, and it will only grow, but it will never replace, in my view.
Okay, so when it comes to technology, of course, choosing technology is also a very important part of technology. And here again, I have to bring Sheikh in, and talking specifically about payment gateways. Sheikh, what is it that you think that hospitality companies and hotels need to do when they're choosing a payment gateway or a technology for payment?
Yeah. I think when you're looking for a payment gateway, you need to look a provider who can give you a omni-channel solution, right? When I talk about omni-channel, not just about connecting in all touch points, but who can provide you POS mission at the same time, who can provide you UPI or buy now, pay later, right? You can't keep going for multiple PGs, right? So you need to find out a partner who can give you a comprehensive offline and online solution, right? That's one. And the other important thing that you should look at is who can provide a seamless integration with your existing systems, right? There are multiple types of integrations, API-based integration, single-click integration using plugins like Magento, WooCommerce, all these things. So you need to look at partner if they are capable of providing that. And then definitely cross-border payments, right? Whether the customers coming in from other countries to India or customers from India going to other part of the world, right? So who can provide a cross-border payments solution? That's one you should look at. And then, like I mentioned, you need to see if that particular partner is capable of providing all available payment options, right? So you will not know. In fact, in net banking alone, there are more than 55 banks, right? If a customer in tier 3 city in down south who's coming and using a Indian bank net banking, right? And if they see that Indian bank is not available or any other regionalized bank is not available, so then that's a bad experience. So you need to have partner who can give you all payment options. And then finally, I think, you need to figure out if they have the experience in handling scale in terms of transactions, in terms of refunds, which is very, very important, right? That again directly links to the customer satisfaction in terms of reconciliation and a better dashboard, which covers all these things in one single platform for you to review, monitor, and track the progress.
Now, taking what Sheikh was talking about as far as technology, I've thought of another interesting question to ask all of you, which was not on the list of questions that I had sent everyone. And Sameer, I'm going to start with you. As a business, how has technology enabled your business to expand to deeper tier 3, tier 4 kind of markets? Because the telephone network has gone there, and to some extent, the little smartphone still works in a lot of markets where you will not find anything else. Has that helped in moving your brand into the smaller markets, or is that a different kind of a algorithm for you?
I think firstly, there are very few locations in India which don't have smartphones or access to data and mobile networks. So
there are certain urban areas where certain networks don't work, that everyone knows.
Sure, but definitely a lot more accessibility, right? That's first. I think secondly, for us, it's not just technology, but it's also, I would say, largely the brand awareness. We are a brand which have been around for 2.5 decades. Very, very Indian. So we are known as a very strong brand in the space we play in, especially with the strengths we have in terms of operating, in terms of food and beverage, in terms of sales and marketing support. So I guess All those help us get the visibility anyway. Technology is just one more enabler at this stage to get us visible. Of course, what has helped us in the last 2 years is the way we have been able to use technology to support our hotels. For example, we had launched an online training management system just before the pandemic. So it was coincidental that we launched it because for years we had been depending on face-to-face training, but we decided to complement it with an online training program and an online training management system. So it came as a boon because during the pandemic, we couldn't have resources go and train people, but we were able to still roll out 400 training programs through our online learning management system. So that was just one example. Of course, also with the way we had to launch what we call Safe Stays, which is our hygiene and safety program, we were able to create an app and help our hotels audit the safety implementation and make sure we were able to monitor. So technology definitely has been of great help in the last couple of years, and I'm guessing it will continue.
As a company, how much percentage are you now investing in technology compared to 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Has that gone up?
I would say it has increased substantially. Wouldn't want to specify the percentage purely for reasons you would know. So yes.
Vikram, I want to ask you this question. Obviously, Lemon Tree was always stressing on technology on it. So how have you been able to use technology to expand the brand? And are you paying more attention? Are you investing more in technology now than you did 2 years ago?
Okay, so I think to answer your question on how we're using technology to get scale, to put more flags, to go to different parts of India, I think one very, right now it's still very nascent, but we are trying to use the technology. We see hotel rates, airfare, hotel availability, and build an algorithm around it to see which are the pockets where there is very dense demand, where rooms are not available for 4 days of the week, where ARRs are typically way above mid-market average rates in India. So using that, it tells you an idea of where there is an acute shortage of rooms in India and where you should be putting up more flags, whether it is through management contracts, through franchise, or through whichever route that you take. So that's one algorithm that we are kind of working on. I don't think we have it fully operational today, but that is a great way to use technology to find out where you need to put up more hotels, where are there a shortage of hotel rooms in India, and therefore those are the cities you need to go to. So that's one intervention of technology, which I think will help us in our effort to put more flags, open more hotels, sign more contracts. So that's how we're trying to use technology to get more scale.
Nikhil?
Vikram, I think the larger ecosystem has really aided all brands, right? And here it is the OTAs and the aggregators who have actually made the effort and spent the marketing dollars or the rupees, whatever you may want to call it, to go to the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, onboard them as step one. And I believe the adoption of the brands only happens in step 2 or step 3. So really, while we're all big brands out there, the real adoption has been thanks to aggregators and the OTAs. And that is where the shift in the last year and a half, 2 years, at least in our case, I can say we've seen our brand contribution, our website contribution in our hotels going up. I believe that's also been because of the adoption that people from that level move to the brands. Something to what Sameer said, all our hotels have always been clean, right? It's not that we were not hygienic, but if you were to compare it to the unbranded space, that's the shift that happened, right? And that's why in our case, we saw brand contribution going higher than OTAs. Of course, OTAs are now jostling for more space and they continue to jostle more space with all brands. So, but then again, it is something that we walk together, talk together, and move forward together. So that's where I see technology adoption in tier 2, tier 3, specifically to your question.
Okay, and since all you guys are extremely important and are already screaming because we are slightly running out of time, I think we're going to start our final thoughts, starting with Sheikh. Tell me a little bit about what's happening in the omni-channel and the payments as far as technology is concerned, and what are you seeing for this year, coming year?
Yeah. I think overall, from a technology perspective, the need for digital transformation is not just an outcome of COVID, right? McKinsey predicted in 2017 that close to 300 million workers need to update their skills by 2030 to adapt to the new wave of technology and artificial intelligence, right? Also, for businesses, the move to digital is not merely about setting up a website and running social media campaigns, right? It has to figure out optimal ways for the team to stay connected and continue business as usual while working from home, or while also staying in touch with consumer needs and expectations, right? So I think digital transformation is very, very important for any kind of business, for them to grow and take their companies to the next level.
Samir, final thoughts about what this final year, this next year holds for your company?
I think we are in very exciting space at the moment, given that the last couple of years were, while they were challenging, we also got through new wins and new opportunities. So having gone through that, having signed the highest number of hotels we have done in the last 10, 12 years, we have a lot of openings coming up this year. We are potentially opening 10, 11 hotels this year. So definitely exciting times in the space of growing the brand and growing the number of locations we are present in. Having said that, with our operating hotels, there is a lot of opportunity for us to optimize on all the opportunities we see, and of course, making sure that our teams are motivated and continue driving great results over the next year.
Vikram, your final thoughts for this financial year? What's it going to be like for Lemon Tree?
Not just this year, but I think the next 4 to 5 years are going to be the best for the industry. We spoke about supply shrinking. What we don't know today, and we don't have a number for, is how much of supply has actually disappeared from the market. One Hyatt in Bombay shuts down, we know about it, but there is a lot of other hotels which are either shut, partially shut, may never open again. And let me tell you, to open a hotel, it takes many months. It's not that tomorrow morning you switch on the lights and the hotel is ready. So inventory coming, the supply is shrinking, existing inventory, God knows how much has shrunk. It is very difficult to put hotel supply because it takes time. It's a 4 to 5 year process. So what I see is the next 4 to 5 years being the best for the industry, being top of cycle conditions. Rates are hardening, occupancy is going to go up, and I think we will all make a lot of money here.
Nikhil?
Vikram, it's interesting. Every one of us is publicly listed, and you're asking us for forward-looking statements. But that said, couldn't agree more with the co-panelists. The sun is shining. That's definitely a fact, and it's shining very bright on hoteliers. You will see massive gains from that perspective. At the convention, my boss, who's based in London, actually made a statement on growth, and he said 50 hotels today, 100 hotels by 2025. So that's where we are heading. We have a very, very positive pipeline of 29 hotels, and I only see that strengthening. So growth on all aspects, whether it is more hotels, more customer base, building your loyalty program. So Wyndham Rewards is 95 million globally. Very active Indian base out of that 95 million. So growth, and that's where we're all heading. So thank you for that.
Basic point is that it's going to be a really, really busy year for all of you, and Vikram himself is confident that he's going to earn a lot of money. And
I said sure for the company.
We'll all have to go.
I said all hotel companies, yeah.
All hotel companies, sorry. And we'll also have to go and meet Vikram's 2 19-year-olds, because Sheikh said, because by 2030, we have to all upgrade to the new technological. So I think we'll meet again for a workshop on how to upgrade to technology, and,
And you can include Samir's daughter as well. She'll come back from Flame by then.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys, for taking time out. And I know it's very, very busy. So thank you very much for lending so much time to us, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.